So if you could just take your seats for all of you who are part of the executive committee. Before we dive into our agenda today, I want to extend my gratitude to the city of Little Rock for welcoming us this week. I am especially grateful to Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr., who is here with us today. Mayor Scott has been the mayor of Little Rock since 2023. He has spent his time in office uniting Little Rock's diverse neighborhoods through economic expansion, creating new opportunities for educational growth for Little Rock students, enhancing public safety, and improving the quality of life in Arkansas's capital city. We are grateful to have him here with us today. He's in his second term. He's a young elected official doing great work already building this city. Please welcome Mayor Scott.
Chairman, thank you so much. You and the entire executive committee for choosing Little Rock. Before I get started to give some preliminary remarks, I can't be here today without recognizing the godmother of Arkansas politics, the wind beneath my wings. Literally, I stand on her shoulders, and that is Mayor Lottie Shackelford. Let's give her a round of applause. Chairman, I've learned how to win, and so one of the great things is she allowed me to be one of her political sons, and I'll never forget election night. It was historic. On my left hand was my mother, and my right hand was my mother, Lottie. And so I stand here. I want her to know how much I appreciate that. And she was there the second time, and we're going to pray that you're there the third time too. But finally, Little Rock is one of the rising cities of the South. It's our goal to unite the city, grow, and transform it to truly be a catalyst for the New South. And I think that's something that everyone should understand. We just recently found out that over the past 5-year average, when you look at peer state capital cities and other regions, that we are the number 2 and the fastest growing region here in the South. And the number 1 is Nashville. And we know the type of growth Nashville has experienced. And so, taste of that being here today. We say thank you for choosing Little Rock, and thank you for spending your money. And so on your way out to the airport, make sure you spend a little bit more before you leave. But have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. At this point, I'm going to go off script because you heard the mayor mention Lottie Shackelford. Of course, you all know her. And I think most of you know that she was a pioneer. She was the first black woman to be the mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas. She's led our women's caucus for years. She's served with all of us, helping to build the party. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Lottie Shackelford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. He is doing a super, super job. And I don't just say that in his presence. I think when you travel the streets of our city and you talk with the people in our city, they too will echo those same remarks. And I want to say to Mr. Martin, our chair, as he came in the door and somebody was trying to get him in, he said, "No, I've got to go get my name tag." And somebody said, "I think it's up there." I said, "Mr. Chairman, you have a new position." And so we want to, on behalf of Little Rock, Arkansas, and the Arkansas Democratic Party, we want to welcome Chairman Ken Martin, all of the officers of the DNC, and all of you to Little Rock. Little Rock is a city, as I tell folk all the time, Arkansas is a sparsely populated state, a little less than 3 million people in the state. So we're the capital city, so when we're here in Little Rock, we're the big city. When we get outside the borders of the state, we're not so big, but we think we are. So your being here helps us still claim, "I'm big on Little Rock." And that's a slogan that we have, and I want you all to share that when you go about your daily lives. just tell folk I'm big on Little Rock and make certain you come back and they do too. We have a strong Arkansas Democratic Party, and the first time in a long time, this last cycle and this cycle, we have a very active Democratic Party, particularly with the Democratic National Committee. Under our chair, Grant Tennille, our vice chair, Janie Cotton, our national committee woman, Johnny Roebuck, and our national committee man, Dana Dere. They are very active, and they're going to make certain Arkansas gets purple and blue once again. So we just want to say we stand here in Arkansas with all the enthusiasm, with all the hope that Democrats always have, knowing that we may be on one level now nationwide, we may be on this level statewide, because I keep saying we're ruby red. But I tell you what, we're working 365 days of the year, knowing that we're not going to say ruby red, and I feel that's what everybody in this room is feeling. So our hope is that you all will feel as we feel. Little Rock full of surprises. DNC full of surprises. We're going to have wins, wins, wins. So come on, Democrats. Let's be true Democrats. Work like we know how to work. We're going to truly make this country great again.
Thank you, Ms. Lottie. Thanks for all of your work for our party, and thanks for hosting us as well. I do want to just shout out a few folks that Lottie mentioned. Of course, Chairman Grant Tennille and Vice Chair Janet Cotton, who hosted the ASDC here for the last few days. And from all that I've been told, it was a great first meeting for our ASDC president and the state parties, who had a lot of fun. I was out with them till about 2 o'clock last night singing karaoke. Roger, you were there. Yes. So yes, Little Rock has really showed off all week, and we really appreciate all of you. I also want to acknowledge someone who's a great friend, who was my colleague at the ASDC, served as our Midwest Regional Director for many years, who this is her hometown, Little Rock. I first met her when she was Executive Director of the Arkansas Democratic Party, and I remember saying to her, if I ever get the chance to steal you away from this state, I will. And she came to work with us at the ASDC. My great friend, Karen Bradford Coleman, right back there. Thank you, Karen. So look, members, I now hereby call this meeting to order. As we begin, please rise if you are able to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. It is great to see everybody here today, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to flip to this microphone here. Can you guys hear me? It is extremely important to our party that this meeting is accessible, not only to members, but to Democrats across the country, which is why we're live streaming today's meeting. I want to thank all of the members here and the viewers who are joining us via live stream. This is an important piece of this new DNC, which is, as I campaigned for this position, I said we want to make sure that our meetings are accessible not just to Democrats in these rooms, but to Democrats throughout this country. This party doesn't belong just to us in this room. It belongs to Democrats and Democratic voters throughout this nation. I want to thank Veronica and her team in the Office of the Secretary and Party Affairs for making this possible with this technology. But I wanted you to know that every one of our meetings moving forward, and including our standing committee meetings, will be live streamed, so more people can, participate, more people can know what's going on, more people can be a part of our Democratic Party. Now, before I introduce Secretary Ray to report on the quorum, I'd like to also acknowledge our fantastic parliamentarian, Helen McFadden, and the whole team who have been working tirelessly to organize today's meeting. Thank you, Helen, and thank you to all the various staff for your work today. So, Secretary Ray, I would ask you to report on the status of our quorum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, Democrats.
Good afternoon.
Come on, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here today in Little Rock. Thank you, Mayor Shackelford, for the warm welcome you've given us all week here. I'd like to welcome some new members of the Executive Committee since we last met by way of the ASDC. We've got 4 new members joining this committee. Chair Alicia Andrews of Oklahoma.
Yay.
Chair Shasti Conrad of Washington. Chair Coleman Elridge of Kentucky. And Vice Chair Pig Schaefer of New Jersey. Welcome to our new Executive Committee members. In addition, since we last met, Mr. Chair, our office has welcomed and certified 26 new members to the DNC, and I know they are all anxious and excited to meet all of you at our meeting in August. But at this time, I'm pleased to report that we do indeed have a quorum present for today's meeting.
Thank you, Secretary Ray. And welcome, everybody. Welcome to Little Rock. Welcome to our first Executive Committee meeting for this new DNC administration. We have a busy day, so I'm going to try to keep this short. All of you know that we have a lot in front of us right now, both as Democrats and the Democratic Party. And that means we need to get to work. We need to stay at a sprinter's pace for this year and next year. I said this the other day, but when I first became DNC chair back in February, I told the folks around me, we don't have the luxury of time. So we got going on day one. Now, being in D.C. right now, you meet lots of people. Most of them in D.C. want to win the argument. Not me. Not you. We're here to win elections, and that's what we're focused on. So that's why our priority is today, tomorrow, the next day, and every day until the midterms and beyond is building the infrastructure we need up and down the ballot with and in partnership with our state party so we can win elections, not for our party, but for the American people. In those first days as chair, I told my team at the DNC 3 things. First, we're getting the DNC out of D.C. And, you know, I said that when I campaigned, too. People said to me, what do you mean? You're moving the headquarters from D.C. to some other state? No, it's changing the mindset. It's reminding folks that elections aren't won in D.C., they're won in the states. And if we're doing our job right, we're not just focused on federal races, we're focused on races up and down the ballot. We're focused on all races because we know we have to build power around our agenda and our values in every public policy arena in this country. And sure enough, we're doing that right now, thanks to the great work of Roger Lau and Libby Schneider and Jessica Wright and the whole team at the DNC. We're building a new DNC focused on building power holistically and winning again. Right away, we got on the road to meet with local party leaders, voters, and grassroots organizers. At this point, I think I've been to 18 states already in my 4 months on the job, and we've used everything we learned to inform a historic new investment, along with President Jane Klebb, into our state parties. Now over $1 million going out each month to our state parties, thanks to Jane. And look, second, I said we're going to reimagine the DNC as a permanent campaign. No longer will we look at things narrowly or through the singular lens of just presidential election cycles. We can't just be the party focused on 7 battleground states and a few congressional races. We can't just look at 28. We have to look at 32 and beyond. We have to start planning for the future. And I said we're going to invest in winning right away. And let me just tell you, we're doing that. There have been almost 25 elections since Donald Trump was inaugurated, and we're overperforming in 24 of the 25, and we're winning many of those elections up and down the ballot, including just recently flipping a 12-year incumbent mayor in the city of Omaha, Nebraska, thanks to Jane Klebb and the Nebraska Democratic Party. My entire philosophy is this, and this is the new slogan at the DNC. When you organize everywhere, you can win anywhere. And that's what we're doing. We're not leaving any inch of this country unorganized. because we know that our values align with Americans, and that if we get out there and communicate our values the right way, they will align with our party. Now look, I said the third thing to the staff. Wonderful team at the DNC. It's time for us to take the gloves off. I want a Democratic Party, as all of you do, that's willing to stand its ground, to stand up, to throw a punch, and fight for everybody in our communities that feels voiceless in this political environment. I know each of you do as well. In 2016, someone said to me, you know, the Republicans are shameless, but the Democrats are spineless. This is our moment right now to stand up and fight for what we believe in. My first boss in politics was a bushy-haired college professor from Northfield, Minnesota, Paul Wellstone, who used to say that politics isn't about big money or special interests. It's squarely about the improvement of people's lives. But one other thing he said, which I think is important, is if you're not willing to fight like hell for the things you believe in, do you really believe in them at all? That's the question Americans are asking us right now as a Democratic Party. We should never separate the lives we lead from the words we speak. We should always stand up. If we say we believe in the things we believe in, we should stand up and be willing to fight for them. And that means throwing punches. That means stiffening our spine. That means making sure we absolutely live our values every day. We speak our values and we speak our whys to the American people so they know it's not just words, but it's action, that the Democratic Party is going to stand up for you and your families and for communities throughout this country. Now look, we've launched a 24/7, 365-day war room. We're not simply going to react to the lies and harm. We're going on offense. We're setting the tone. We're countering misinformation, and we're putting those cowardly Republicans on their back foot. And it's also why we've organized more than 120 town halls throughout the country. And I say if Republicans are going to be cowards and hide their faces from their own voters, well then Democrats will show up and talk to those voters. We will give them a voice and a platform for the pain and the anguish and the destruction that this Trump administration is inflicting upon the American people. And you can expect a lot more of these throughout the summer. It's only been a few months. Sunday marks 4 months to be exact. But we're building momentum. We took a plus 23% Trump district in Pennsylvania, blue for the first time since the 1800s. We kicked Elon Musk to the curb in Wisconsin when he tried to buy a Supreme Court seat. We historically overperformed in Florida's deep red districts with those special elections. And just the other week, as I mentioned, we won in Omaha. In Omaha, Nebraska, right? That blue dot right there, it's getting bluer, and we won that mayor's race because people know when we organize everywhere, we can win anywhere. So look, some people might think that not every race matters. I'm not one of those guys, because every race not only matters, but every inch adds up. Every bit of ground that we gain adds up. Every vote we flip adds up. And every office we take adds up and makes a difference. That's how you build the party, from the grassroots up, not from the top down. We are going to get out there, DNC. Every one of you, I know you're doing this work already, and organize throughout this country. In every crisis, there's an opportunity. What is the opportunity right now? The opportunity for us is to engage people in conversations that we haven't had the opportunity to do for some time, to really truly give them a sense of not just what's at stake right now in this moment, but what the future could look like if we put Democrats back in control, to give them a positive vision that their better days are in front of them, not behind them, and that we are going to actually, as a Democratic Party, deliver on the promises we make to build our communities the right way, to give people an opportunity to achieve the American dream and climb the economic ladder and find success in this country once again, and also give them a sense that no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter who you love, or no matter who you are, as I said, we're fighting for you. That is our challenge as Democrats. If we're willing to take this opportunity on right now, we will win again. We will win again, and most importantly, we will be able to change people's lives and give people a sense, again, that we are invested in their hopeful futures and their dreams and aspirations. So thank you, Democrats. Let's get out there and win. Let's get out there and fight. So now I have the distinct privilege of recognizing the incredible team at the DNC, my colleagues who I get the great privilege of working with every single day. And I'm going to turn it over to a few of our senior staff at the DNC to share a handful of updates about our new initiatives to win elections, to share our message, to rebuild political power and defeat Republicans. Now, I always say this, and it's not just something I say. It's how I try to lead, and it's something I believe. You know, there's a little bit of a savior complex that developed when people are running for chair. The idea that there's one person who's going to come in and save the Democratic Party. One person who has all the answers. Well, I hate to break it to you. That's not me. Because I believe none of us are as smart as all of us. No one has all the answers. But what I've been so blessed by that first day I came in is looking around the DNC and seeing the colleagues that I get the privilege to work with every day working their tails off. Believers in this party, believers in this mission, people who could go out and make a lot more money doing something else, but they do this work because they love our party and they love this movement and what we're trying to do to actually change this country. As I said, this team is proof of that. So now I'm going to turn it over to my friend and our DNC Executive Director, Roger Lau, and my other good friend, our Deputy Executive Director, Libby Schneider, to introduce themselves and guide us through our program. Roger, Libby.
Can you hear me? Oh, I got to hold it down. Well, thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for inviting us to be in this great city. Thank you, Mayor Shackelford, for inviting us to Little Rock. It's been a phenomenal experience already, and we just appreciate the hospitality. You know, when Ken came in, and he said, you know, listening to him campaign, talking about this idea of reimagining DNC to better serve the people and our volunteers and organizers, the people who need the help the most to help us win elections. This is what we do it for. The opportunity to sign on and be a part of his vision was something that was incredibly exciting to me, and I wanted to be a part of it. And one thing that Ken said, you know, as some of you know, I've been at the DNC for the last 4.5 years, recently serving as Deputy Executive Director. When Ken asked me to join him as Executive Director, obviously I was honored, but I was just really excited about this idea that Ken was trying to reimagine the DNC from one that was, you know, built expressly for the purpose of serving the president and re-electing a president, to one that was going to be an opposition party, right? One that was going to be able to fight on all grounds. We're not ceding any territory in all 57 states and territories year-round. And, you know, the idea of helping to build a team that can meet this moment and to build us for a sustainable future was something that was incredibly exciting to me. You're going to hear from some of our staff today about some of the work that we've done in just the first 100 or so days. It has been fast and furious, I will say, but it has been critically important. You know, people are hurting out there. People are feeling they want to be involved, and it is the DNC's jobs, you know, to first and foremost provide them the tools and the avenues to do that, and we have a great team that we put together. I want to recognize Jessica Wright, who's another Deputy Executive Director we have on the team. For those who have not met her yet or don't know her, she is fantastic. She's Deputy Executive Director and Chief of Staff to the Chair's office, so she works directly with Ken. She joins us after having spent several years over at the State Department, was Deputy Chief of Operations for Secretary Blinken. Before that, spent many, many years in the White House, the Obama White House. And she actually got her start, she's a Minnesotan. She got her start, you know, fresh out of college as a youth organizer for the state party under Ken's leadership when he was leading the Kerry campaign in Minnesota. Phenomenal person. She's unfortunately holding down the fort at the DNC in Washington. As much as Ken wants to make sure the DNC is getting out of DC, we still have to make sure that the office is up and running. And Jessica is, I can think of no better person to make sure that we're doing all the things we're supposed to be doing. Obviously, Ken mentioned my good friend next to me, Libby Schneider. She is our Deputy Executive Director for all the fun things. Frankly, it was my old job that, you know, all the elections, working with state parties, helping to build coalition, you know, really all the work that happens outside of DNC in the states, all the work that happens in DC. She is someone who I think is perfectly equipped for this job, someone who has you know, deep experience working in local campaigns, federal campaigns in the states. You know, she's probably worked on every campaign possible in North Dakota over the years. And after having served as Heidi Heitkamp's campaign manager for Senate, she decided she wanted to take her talents to the DNC. And at the time, initially, she decided she wanted to focus on rural organizing, right? Because she wanted states like her kids like her and families like her in these rural communities and red states to have a voice and have representation of the DNC to make sure that we're truly competing everywhere. I'm so excited that after having served as Chief of Staff under Chair Harrison's DNC leadership, that Ken decided to offer her and bring her an opportunity to lead our team and lead our effort and all the electoral stuff that we're doing. It's so critically important. I could not ask for a better partner. So Libby, I'm going to pass it off to you.
I gotta say, as a woman from the Midwest, nothing makes me more uncomfortable. You don't have to. I got it. Thank you, though, for the teamwork. Nothing makes me more uncomfortable than hearing nice things about myself, but thank you, Roger. As Roger said, my name is Libby Schneider. I have been around the DNC for a while, so worked with many of you in different iterations, and am just truly honored to work under Ken's leadership, under Roger's leadership. In addition to being, the most talented operatives, they're also just really good dudes and really good to our team, to our incredible team who, as others have said, really work their tail off. So I appreciate that so much about them. In addition to winning races, they're doing it while being really kind and generous with our talented staff. So I was not out until 2 a.m. Because I am both reasonable and lame, as both Chair Martin and Roger can tell you. But it makes me a little more fresh, I think, a little more dynamic. Just kidding. Roger's always going to be more dynamic. As Roger mentioned, I get to do all the cool stuff at the DNC. So the political work, a lot of the external facing work, and much like Roger, was just so excited to have Ken come in and talk about the things that I care about, organizing everywhere, making sure we're engaging with communities that we hadn't before, that have fallen off a little bit. And so we are doing that work at the DNC. I am part of a small but mighty, and won't be small for long, political team at the DNC, but we've been doing just incredible work. I am going to introduce very quickly, in just a minute, my colleagues, Obi Rahman and Malik Houghton, who have been spearheading our town hall effort. We have done over 130 town halls. I think Jane has done 111 of them in Nebraska, but they have been really, really successful. And this is an idea that was sort of launched in the middle of March. So just to put some context, like that amount of work has gotten done in a really short amount of time, and it allows us to engage with folks who will be our best volunteers and to hold Republicans accountable and to do the work we need to do to capture this really unique energy that is happening from people's rage right now. So I want to introduce Obi Rahman, who is our state's communications director. Obi is a hustler. You guys have seen him at meetings. He's incredible. He works with all of the state party teams so well, and we're so lucky to have him. And Malik Houghton, who is absolutely cursed with working with me constantly. But please join us, guys, and thank you.
All right. Hey guys, we are super excited to be here. We're super excited to talk about this. This has been one of my favorite things that we have done over the last couple months. The thing that I think is really cool about our town hall initiative is that this was kind of the first thing like that we did that was both DNC and ASDC. And through all of our state parties as well. So this was like true coordination when we were still standing things up. And it's gone really well so far. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of walk through, kind of the impetus for this, how it's going so far, and kind of the next iteration of these town halls. So to start off here, the impetus of this, for right after the Doge cuts back in February, Republicans started to get pushback at their own town halls. We saw that in ruby red districts, such as in Kansas. We saw that really all over the country. And what we started monitoring these, right? We have a very good research team that is on top of everything, that they are eyeing everything that's happening across the country. We were shocked with how the reddest of districts, Republicans were getting shouted down, right? There were veterans at these districts. There were, constituents who you wouldn't necessarily think would be angry at Republicans for everything that's happening, especially with how new the Trump administration was. But they were getting shouted down. They were getting booed. They were getting jeered. And we were not the only ones to take notice of this. Republicans took notice of it as well, too. NRCC Chair Richard Hudson soon issued an edict that Republicans should not be hosting town halls. They thought that they could do whatever they wanted. They thought that they could get out of that they could get away with it. But when we thought about it, we were like, okay, if they're not hosting town halls, what can we do to fill that void? And with that, I will pass it over to Malik.
Thanks, Obi. We can go to, there we go. Thank you. Morning, everybody. Malik Houghton. And as Obi mentioned, under the leadership of Chair Martin and Chair Kleb, with many of you in this room, state party chairs, vice chairs, and EDs, Roger, Libby, and many folks in the state, as well as a lot of our DNC vice chairs and officers, we went around the country and we partnered with groups and state parties all across 49 states at this point, and we are very close to 50 plus DC. So a town hall has come to a place near you over the last 6 weeks, and likely that more town halls and more events and more organizing will be coming to you in a place near you over the summer. So where we've gone, so we've got 128, I think, at this point. We are going to work very closely with the rest of the states to get to north of 130. And over the summer, we will be working with our organizing team. Yeah. Some of my favorite ones, well, yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, where we did one in Tennessee with Senator Warren and a lot of other federal elected officials that we will be working and partnering with over the summer as well. Let's toss it back to Obi.
You know, as a comms guy, the thing that I care about is this slide right here. Look, the coverage we're getting is amazing, right? Like, it's not only the national coverage that's showing all of this, it's also the local coverage in districts, right? And, you know, to me, like, politics is one thing, right? It's a messaging war. The side that gets their message out more to the most amount of people, that's the side that wins. So that's why when Ken and Jane decided to do this, like, it was genius, right? Like, it's actually getting into communities. It's what the DNC has not done in you know, for a very long time. You know, when it comes to like the clips that we're getting out of this, the thing that's really shocked me is that it has not receded yet. You know, when you do 130 of these across the country, you'd think that, you know, people would stop showing up to this. But, you know, we are seeing unprecedented like enthusiasm. We're getting the coverage that we need to kind of push this thing forward. And it's been a really cool thing just seeing this as the first initiative that the DNC has done with this leadership. And with that, I will pass it to Malik. All right. And then, you know, looking forward here, well, if we can figure out the setup, which yes. So to date, you know, we've talked about this a lot. We've done a lot of town halls. We've done it in nearly all 50 states. But I think the most important thing about all of this is that we have shown the power of what happens when the DNC, state parties, the ASDC, all of us work together and hand to hand. And it's been really cool to see the coordination to like really get to know a lot of folks across the country for the same goal, right? Which is to really hold Republicans accountable, you know, for everything they're doing in Washington, to make sure that people across the country know that this affects your community. This isn't just something that's abstract. This is affecting people right now. So with that, we are going to kind of pivot to the next phase of this, which I'll let Malik talk about a little bit.
We are working very closely with our partners in DC to think through what July and August will look like. A lot of Congress will be out in the Senate and the House, so Republicans will be home in their districts, and we want to make sure they feel the pressure and the pain of the American people that they refuse to serve. And so more details to come. We will obviously work very closely with President Kleb, Ken, the leadership team at the DNC and across country to make sure these are executed properly, and also channeling, giving folks that are out there an avenue and tools to which to channel their energy and their frustration into positive outcomes. Because we obviously know our jobs as the state parties and our job as the DNC is to win elections, and we've got to give people the tools and the resources they need to be able to change those outcomes. So more information to come, but be on the lookout for a lot of that energy and enthusiasm going into the summer.
Last thing I'll say is it's just the beginning, right? We got a full cycle. We're going to take back 2025, then in 2026, and then the presidency back in 2028. So thanks everybody. We're excited across the country.
We might single-handedly drag us across the finish line with his energy. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you. And again, just another shout-out to President Kleb, the ASDC team. As you all know, in these state parties, sometimes there's 2 staff, 3 staff. We are asking a lot of them in conjunction with our small but mighty staff and really pulling off Herculean efforts. So I want to say thank you again. Okay, now my pleasure to introduce another incredible member of the team who shouldn't be a stranger to any of you. Morgan Hine is our National Training Director. Morgan comes from the ASDC State Party family and has done several iterations of very important work with the DNC, and now she is taking up our training arm, which is a huge deliverable to state parties, to candidates, to activists, and really excited about the innovative and creative way she's thinking about this. So Morgan, go get them.
Thank you so much, Libby. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Hine. I'm the new National Training Director. I'm so excited to be with you all today. So many familiar faces. Thank you so much, Chair Martin, and to the Executive Committee for having me today. But I'm Morgan Hine. I've been here for about 2 months now, but I'm no stranger to the DNC and to the ASDC. I'm actually originally from the Idaho Democratic Party, where I did work there for about 4 years. I'm originally an organizer at heart, and I'm just so excited to really build out this program and really imagine how we think about training at the DNC. Training has kind of had a lot of different iterations throughout the time at the DNC and through the ASCC. Previously, the training department was known as the Best Practice Institute, or the BPI, which was previously housed as a shared department under the ASCC and the DNC. So now the training department will now be known as the National Training Department and be seen as any other department as the DNC. And this is really, really important, and I know is really important to Chair Martin and just my vision for the training department, that this department needs to not only serve state parties, but also our organizers, our new emerging leaders, our candidates, all of these other folks that we need to serve within the community. There are so many folks right now. I've already been on the ground training, and there's so much energy and excitement out there. And training is one of those free resources and tools that we can provide to not only our state party folks, but also to candidates and our young leaders as they move through the pipeline and learn new skills. This is really something that we can offer them. That's going to be a really cool department to really build out in partnership with the state parties and with all of you as well. So kind of what has changed within the department, we're going to see a lot of kind of increased coordination within the other DNC departments at the DNC, so finance and communications, building out these programs that they're really effective for you all. And then we're doing kind of less off one-off training requests, less reacting to certain issues and going into states, and more these long-term program building and really working with the organizing team and the political team to see what's really needed. What do we really need on the ground? What skills do we really need to improve? And what audiences do we really need to target? And then our team, of course, will also be growing, which is super exciting. So we're able to provide more content and more information for everyone. So just kind of some high-level department goals of kind of how this new department is really going to start to shape out. I really want to serve as a training hub, the DNC, for all other training organizations within the ecosystem. My first 2 months in the job, I've already met with almost 30 partners within the training space, the National Democratic Training Committee, Emerge, Emily's List, all of our incredibly important partners that are doing this great work on the ground, and working with them to see how we can highlight their work, but also work to see where the gaps are and how we can kind of fill those at the DNC as well. And then building long-lasting infrastructure on the ground as well with our caucus folks, with our county parties, really improving that as well. And then, of course, one of the most important things is training the next generation of leaders within the space. This I really noticed when I was talking to state parties and campaigns on the ground. This is really a gap that we've seen, is providing free high-level training that you can't really get anywhere else to these new emerging leaders that want to enter the campaign space, folks that want to work on local campaigns, become organizers. How do we maintain those skills and build that pipeline for those folks? And then providing high-level skill-based trainings to existing operatives in targeted races as well. We're going to see this year as we're working with organizers and the coordinated campaign to help a lot with middle management training and other leadership building trainings as well as we head into 2026. And then increasing retention. This is incredibly important, making sure that we're nurturing our campaign staff, our organizers, that they have the opportunities they need to be successful and have job opportunities within the space as well. And then making our resources really culturally competent and accessible to all as well. So right now, I'm working with our mobilization team, our tech team, to make sure that our resources, right now we have two resource drives, our Victory Vault and our Legacy Files, working to see what resources we can get on the website and what resources we can build out for our state party folks, and increase cultural competency of all of these, translate a lot of our materials, and make a lot of our materials more modular so that they're easier for you all to take in and distribute to your folks as well. And then, of course, building a department to last, right? I think this is one of the most important things as we've seen our training department see a lot of different iterations. I want to build this department to last, and training will always remain within the DNC for years and years to come. So some of our target audiences, as I've kind of already mentioned, our main focus are going to be new and existing campaign staff and operatives, and then local leaders, so our county and caucus leadership as well, so working with our state parties to build skills and make sure that we have retention for these folks. We're also going to focus on new candidates, specifically state and local level candidates as well. I'm already doing some partnerships with the Democratic municipal officials and other folks to work to make sure that our local candidates have the tools and resources that they need to succeed. And then, of course, our activists and volunteers. And then what do we have planned for this year and beyond? So we've already planned a few different boot camps and other opportunities for folks to come together and train. So within the SPP agreement, we have agreed to 12 regional boot camps before 2028. So that's 6 boot camps a cycle. So we'll be hosting 3 regional boot camps this year, which is super exciting. This is where hundreds of folks can gather in person. We'll have scholarships to folks for folks to try to cover costs for as many new and emerging leaders, campaign staff as possible, so that we can gather and train campaign operatives, local leaderships, activists, candidates, all together to be in one space. And this will be 3 days of intensive training where they can hear from experts and really harness their skills, break out into breakout rooms, and really get modular in terms of what we really need to accomplish and building those skills. In addition, we're also going to be bringing back our DC State Party staff boot camps as well. So we're going to be hosting 2 this year. So these are really high-level 3-day boot for our State Party staff. So this year we're going to host an intense data boot camp and then a digital boot camp as well. And these are going to be in DC. A lot of the training is going to be given by our DNC staff, but this is a great other additional opportunity to really expand the relationships with our state party staff folks, have them gathered together in one space, learn from each other, and also get really in depth when we're talking about things like Phoenix and other really complex topics and learning from each other on the skills. Lastly, just some other things that we're going to be doing this year. Of course, we're going to be training volunteers and organizers in targeted states, planning and building for 2026. We're going to do local candidate and elected training, coalition engagement training, and then more partner training events and coordination as well. So I'm going to be also attending and working with a lot of our partners to build up their training programs and making sure that we're showing up for all of their events as well. We're not just asking them to come and partner with us. We're also going to be participating and coming to their events as well. In addition, probably going to be released in Q4, but we're working on a train the trainer program where we're going to work with local leaders and other folks within states to also train them to be trainers as well, so that they're able to give a lot of these trainings on their own. We have so many resources available now within our legacy files, within our Victory Vault, that they're able to utilize, and I really want to empower local leaders on the ground to be trainers in their communities also. And that's pretty much it from me. You can reach out to me anytime at training@dnc.org if you have any questions, requests, or feedback. And I can take questions too.
Thank you, Morgan. If folks don't have questions, I just want to say another shout out to this team. This is a small subset of the work that we are doing, but these folks are incredibly talented, incredibly passionate, and they're just a joy to work with because they care so much about the work. So Morgan, Malik, Obi, and Roger leading the charge. But thank you guys. And then I'm going to hand it over to Roger, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank our officers for their town hall efforts too. If we didn't... both in your home states, but basically we're, all over Hell's Half Acre with your help and making sure that we are reaching voters everywhere. So thank you, officers. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you, Morgan. I think you've heard consistently from the staff as we're doing the presentations. You're hearing a lot about the DNC and the ASDC staff. This is a partnership that I think starts with obviously the leadership of Chair Ken Martin and President Jane Klebb. The importance of what state parties mean and how central this is to our party. Ken often talks about, when he ran, he talked about getting the DNC out of DC, talking about organizing everywhere, and ultimately what it comes down to is this deep belief and understanding from both the chair and the president that these national elections we talk about, they're not won on a national level. They're won in the states. They're won in the county. They're won in the congressional level. They're won in the local level. And the DNC has to be organizing everywhere. As Ken said, we can't just be a DNC that just has a 7-state strategy and a couple of congressional districts. We are not the Democratic Presidential Committee. We obviously have a huge responsibility in nominating the Democratic nominee, which we'll be working on very soon. But we're the Democratic National Committee. And in order for us to do that, we need to move beyond the 7 and really just be organizing in all 57 states. As Ken came in and Jane was elected as well, they really talked about that messaging. And I think the next thing we're going to talk about is really just an opportunity that they really had the opportunity to put money where their mouths were, which was actually making real investments into that strategy and into our state parties. One of the things that we had to do almost immediately after the two of them came into office was to renegotiate our national voter file agreement, right? It's called a data swap agreement. And what that is the DNC and our state parties working in partnership to provide voter file data to every single Democratic candidate that's running across the country, making sure that organizers and volunteers have the basic tools to access, to knock on doors, make phone calls, text, organize. That's a lot of work, and it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because the state parties and the DNCs make sure that we have the best data possible available to our campaigns so that we can win these elections. And the second part with that is giving the state parties a basic tooling and funding to do that. Yes, you're going to hear about money that's going to be spent in presidential campaigns. You're going to hear about investments that are going to be made in critical races, like the Omaha election that Chair Klebb just had in a historic race in Nebraska. We're going to be making huge investments in critical races in Virginia, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania this year. But we want to make sure that every single state party has the basic tooling and the basic resourcing to run day-to-day operations and actually be able to plan, right? And that's what the State Party Partnership Program is. It's basically baseline funding and investments that DNC and the ASDC worked on to agree to make sure that state parties have the funding they need. So I want to take an opportunity to, along with Lauren, who's our Executive Director of the ASDC, a true partner for all of us. We're going to walk through just a little bit of what that agreement was. I just want to say a word about Lauren. Lauren is not only someone who's a great fit and great partner to be, and a great person to be in this ASDC Executive Director role, just because she had worked at the ASDC before. It's not just because she has worked in Ohio, and Nevada, and Arizona, and Virginia, where she was Executive Director. It's not just because she, worked under Ken's leadership when she was at ASDC, or all of her experiences working on the soft side. She's also someone who's just incredible fighter, incredible leader, an organizer, and she's someone that approaches all this work with a sense of service and passion. And I could not be more honored to have a partner like her.
Roger, thank you so much. Yeah, you want to come up? Come on up.
Get slides.
There we go.
Okay, so I think I talked a little bit about sort of the theory of the case of getting the DNC out of DC, making sure that we're organizing everywhere, making sure that we have the basic resources. But ultimately, at the end, what we wanted to do is make sure that we had some budget certainty for the states, right? The DNC for a long time did provide funding, to state parties, and it increased over the years, from 5,000 a month to 7,000 a month, 10,000 a month, and then under Jamie Harrison, 12,500 a month. We wanted to make sure that we're getting that money early so that state parties can plan, they can have some budget certainty, but I also wanted to make sure that the DNC was in a strong position, not all of us collectively weren't negotiating throughout the year. So the first thing I would say is, for one of the first times ever, the ASDC and DNC worked out a historic 4-year agreement, that would ties through the presidential election, and that's a big deal, right? That's a commitment, 4-year commitment that gets us through the presidential campaign. The second thing, as Ken mentioned, it's the DNC is now more than ever sending $1 million a month, over $1 million. It's $1.2 million that goes out every single month to state parties, guaranteed, no strings attached, and that's a 58% increase from the last agreement, and that's significant. As I said before, part of this was our data swap agreement too, making sure that we have made significant investments in protecting our data, protecting the DNC and our state parties' primacy over the voter file, making sure that we never have data leakage. All the volunteer work that gets done where we're collecting voter file, voter contact information goes back to the state parties, goes back to DNC, so we can push back out to campaigns and candidates to make sure that we're having the best-in-class data to talk to the right voters. And then, you heard a little bit about the incredible work that Morgan and her team are doing around training. That was enabled through this SPP agreement. We've increased the number of national trainings and regional trainings that we're doing, and also the largest budget that we've had ever for the DNC for training, nearly $1 million a year just dedicated to just that. Now I just want to be clear. This is baseline funding. This does not, again, preclude us from making additional investments into critical states and races that are coming up. Do we have a different slide? Oh, here we go. Are you doing this one or me? Okay.
Unless you really want
to.
to.
No, you go for it. Yeah.
I defer to you, Roger. No, well, hi, everyone. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I'm Lauren Harmon-Murphy, Executive Director of the ASDC. I'm so thrilled to be a part of this team. Thank you, Chair Martin. Thank you, President Klebb, for these historic agreements. We are really going to do some amazing things for our state Democratic parties, and that's going to enable us to win elections and make people's lives better. So thank you. Couple of top lines I just wanted to bring home for you this afternoon about the state party partnership agreements. We are increasing the monthly allocation for state parties, as Roger said, from $12,500 to $17,500 a month for all state parties. That's a baseline. That's money they can rely on, budget around, count on, and really get some great things done. A couple of things to note here. This, for the first time ever, will include the territorial parties as well as Democrats abroad. All of our 57 state Democratic parties are going to be treated as equal partners in this work because they all have critical work to do. We are also going to increase the money for the Red State Fund. That's 23 state Democratic parties who have the most urgent need to be building infrastructure, from $2,500 extra dollars a month to $5,000 extra dollars a month. This will really allow them to supercharge their organizing efforts, make sure they have the right staff on the team to be getting things done. As our data and training needs become increasingly more complex, they'll be able to keep up with those demands. So we're just incredibly thrilled about that. And finally, I'm especially excited to tell you we are increasing our ASDC staffing footprint. No longer a one-woman show. I have a couple of our team members here in the room already. Jack Sheevy, our operations director. We have 5 regional directors now, our traditional East, South, Midwest, and West, as well as a new staffer to support that work in the territorial parties and Democrats abroad. We'll really be right in there with our state parties as thought partners, brainstorm buddies, as I like to say, helping them work through strategic plans, tear through thorny issues, and just all of those great things that we know it takes a staffer who's really dedicated to the 13 or so states in the region to really get in the weeds. All right. Speaking of strategic planning, I'm so thrilled to talk to you about our SWOT analysis process, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When I was ASDC regional in 2017, this was the single most valuable thing that I did, was really getting into my state parties, getting to know the characters, the personalities, the issues, having some of those more candid conversations on their home turf. So we will be out there this summer. I'm calling it SWOT Summer. We'll have someone from the DNC and the ASDC on the ground, getting deeply engaged with these states about what they need and how we can better support their work from the DNC and the ASDC so that we can really make this moment matter. Building off of that, we'll then work with these state parties to develop a written strategic plan with benchmarks and timelines delivered back to the ASDC and the DNC so we can help them execute on that. And because everything costs money, we'll be giving $10,000 strategic planning grants once per 4-year cycle so that we can really support them doing a thorough and professional job with this grant or plan. Morgan, as you might expect, hit everything I would have wanted to say about training because she is just that good. But I'll double tap a couple of things that I'm really excited about here. The first is opportunities for new partnerships. We know we have a lot of groups popping up in the training ecosystem wanting to do great things. Having this training department as the national hub for training in the democratic and progressive ecosystem will allow us to really route that capacity where it's needed the most and where it's most urgent. So Morgan has a big job ahead of her, but I'm so pleased that she is a state party person, and we're going to do the dang thing together. Let's see. The last thing here is data and technology. As Roger said, we're going to really work to strengthen the primacy of our state party and DNC voter file. It's the best data in the business. We want our candidates and our allies and our activists working off the best data in the business so that we can win more. That's really important. We have a message to say, and we have to be evangelists about why it's important that we're all working off of the state party voter file. We'll be increasing technology investments across the party in a lot of unique ways. The ASDC Technology Committee is already having conversations about how we can help route more funding into these technology investments. Thank you, President Clubb, for that. And then we're looking for novel ways that we can power partisan voter registration, something that we really, really need to dig into with some of these new data sets that the great data and tech team at the DNC is investigating for us. Lastly, on this, we're going to educate and train party leaders to really understand the full scope and richness of just what we have in the state party voter file, thinking about things like low dollar models. If you're a state party that needs to raise some money, you may not know that we actually have a model on the file that tells you someone is more or less likely to show you $5 in the mail if you send them a letter. There's just a number of things like that we haven't done as good a job as we can about telling people what all they have at their disposal, all these fantastic tools to supercharge their work, and so we're going to do it. I think that's it. Roger, I'll kick it back over to you by just saying thank you for your kind words. It's really an honor to be here with all of you today. Thank you, Chair Martin. Thank you, President Clubb.
Thank you, Lauren. And just wanted to say thank you to Chair Martin and President Clubb. This is truly, sort of a manifestation of this vision that you both had, really putting your money where your mouth is about investing in states and state parties and local elections. This is so important. Every single state party I've talked to, in particular red states, talk about how critical and important this is for just basic planning, but basic organizing, basic investments. And just thank you. We appreciate your leadership, your vision, and your commitment to this.
Thank you, Roger. And you know what Roger and Lauren just laid out there is a historic partnership, as I mentioned, that's going to lay the foundation for us to compete and win at all levels of the ballot in every part of the country and in red, blue, and purple states, as you just heard. Through these new investments, state parties will be equipped with more of the resources they need. But why? Why is it important? What is the role of political parties? Of course, we're here to win. But to win, we need to build long-lasting and durable political infrastructure that doesn't just see us through this upcoming election cycle, but is built in a way that is sustainable for cycles to come. Candidates come and go. The institution that remains is the political party. We have to invest more in our infrastructure. And I won't say less in our candidates. But I want you to think about the way things work now is we invest in singular candidate campaigns and hope that through those investments we're building something long term. Imagine if we flip the script, which we're trying to do. We invest in long-term infrastructure so that when the candidates come along, they already have something to plug into. They have something that they can rely on. Because our role is to basically build something that can take it off of their plate so they don't have to do everything. That's the lens in which we see this work. Both long-term, holistically, knowing that we are the institution that will be here come hell or high water. In the good times, and even right now in the bad times, people are relying on what we build to help us win. And so I'm so pleased and grateful that the ASDC President Jane Clubb and the ASDC put together this terrific plan. And it would not have happened without their work of bringing a proposal forward that truly envisioned what this party could be. And I would ask President Clubb to say a few words. Jane?
Thank you, Chair Martin, and thank you to all the state chairs and vice chairs that are also with us today, not only around the table, but there's a few of them in the audience as well. You know, this was a much easier negotiation process, having a fellow state party chair being on the other side of the table. Chair Martin had also helped lay some of the groundwork in the plan that we presented to him, so that was also easy. So I just want to make sure, in full transparency, he gets credit where credit is due as well. You know, I often try to describe to state parties, to folks who aren't in party world, that if you believe that kids deserve a quality education with strong teachers and a safe place to go every single day to be educated, they need a really good building, right? And state parties are basically the building in every single state, and our candidates are the teachers. And we have to constantly be investing in the infrastructure. When Mississippi only has enough resources to have one staff person in an office that has black mold, right, there is a fundamental problem in our party infrastructure. With these resources, they are literally moving into a new office space. They're hiring 2 additional staff members. And they're going to be able to meet the moment, because when Brandon Presley came and he was a strong candidate running for governor, they didn't have the infrastructure to support him. They didn't have the county parties. They didn't have a state party strong enough to support the momentum at his back. So when you have strong state parties, when candidates are recruited, that's when we win elections, because they have the support that they need in every single county and across the state. So I can't thank not only Chair Martin, but all of our executive committee members, right? Because we are the ones who also approve the DNC budget. So it is on our shoulders to stand up to Donald Trump and to make lives better for folks. And the way that we do that is through the states. So thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And I just really appreciate the role of the state parties. Again, congratulations on a first successful meeting. I will just say I see so many of our colleagues around here. We'll get to this in the appointments, but one thing you'll see from me in everything I do in terms of consistency is really centering, again, on the grassroots of this party, truly our state and local party committees. And if we build this the right way, truly we will build to win this moment, but we will also build to win the future. And that's why I'm so committed to the partnership between the state parties, not just because I was a state party chair, but because I see the value proposition every single part of the country I go. I see hardworking Democrats fighting tooth and nail just to build up support around their agenda and their values, sometimes with little to no recognition or resource, and oftentimes without the success that you see in other parts of the country, but nonetheless they toil away. And that work needs to be supported. That work needs to be celebrated. That work needs to be lifted up, because that's how we build our party everywhere so we can win anywhere. So I just thank you, Jane, and thank you to the state parties. I'd like to take a moment now to acknowledge our new DNC officers. And look, in the 4 short months since their election, this group, this is an amazing, amazing group. Each of them to a T has brought their whole self to this cause and to this movement, and is committed to unifying our party, building our party, and making sure that we're winning everywhere. So collectively, they have traveled to 21 states. They've even traveled across the seas to connect with Democrats abroad. Thank you, Malcolm. They have represented the party at local Democratic events. They've completed hours and hours of call time. They've crisscrossed the country supporting Democrats running up and down the ballot. I see most of our officers are here with us today, and you'll see all of our officers reflected on the screen right now. It's an amazingly diverse group of officers. More importantly, it's an amazing, amazing set of humans who really, truly believe in what this party represents, what our potential is, and the fight in front of us. They believe in the work that we all do. So officers, when I call your name, which will be in alphabetical order, I want you to just stand to be recognized. So I want to start with Associate Chair Stuart Applebaum. Stuart, thank you. Vice Chair Artie Blanco from the great state of Nevada. Associate Chair Shasti Conrad from Washington. Vice Chair David Hogg. One of the hardest working men is certainly in Democratic politics, Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta. My great friend and Vice Chair and ASDC President Jane Klebb. Our fantastic Secretary, who still is the most popular officer of all time because of the roll call, Secretary Jason Ray. Our Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation, Raina Walters-Morgan. Thank you, Raina. By the way, Raina, as you all know, she was the head of our voter protection department. She then ran for this, and now she's been pulled into double duty because we don't have a voter protection director anymore. So she's essentially filling that role as well in helping us find a new voter protection director. Thank you for everything you do, Raina. And last but not least is our co-national finance chair, who doesn't get recognized, but he's working his ass off as well, as Chris Lowe right over there. Thank you so much, Chris, for your work. Now, the following officers were not able to be here with us today, but they send their warmest regards. Associate Chair Joyce Beatty, National Finance Chair Chris Corge, and our Treasurer Virginia McGregor. Let's give it up for all of them as well. So, we're now going to move to committee reports. We have a report from the Credentials Committee and a report from the Rules and Bylaws Committee today. The co-chairs of the Credentials Committee, Ryan Ramirez and Supervisor Hilda Solis, were not able to attend today and have asked Secretary Jason Ray to share their report. Secretary Ray.
Thank you, Chair. On May 12th, the Credentials Committee held a virtual hearing to consider the challenge filed by 2025 DNC Vice Chair candidate Kaylin Free. Ms. Free's challenge was filed on February 28th, and it concerned the way that the votes for the seats held by DNC Vice Chairs Malcolm Kenyatta and David Hogg were tabulated at the election on February 1st. Free alleged that the tabulation method violated provisions of the DNC's charter and parliamentary procedure. After hearing from all parties to the challenge, the committee was responsible for determining whether to recommend the challenge to the full DNC with a resolution or deny the challenge. The Credentials Committee voted to recommend that the DNC grant the challenge and administer ballots to complete the election for the final 2 vice chair positions. The full DNC will vote on the Credential Committee's resolution. If the full body accepts the recommendation, then the DNC will administer ballots to fill those 2 final vice chair positions. Only candidates who are eligible for the 3rd vice chair ballot on February 1st would be eligible to appear again. So that would be Vice Chairs Kenyatta and Hogg on the mail ballot, and Kaylin Free, Gina Repass, and Shasti Conrad, and the male candidate who is not elected on the mail ballot for the any gender ballot. You will hear more on the rules of procedure for conducting the vote from Rules and Bylaws Committee Chair Jim Roosevelt in a moment. In addition, we wanted to provide an update on the challenge to the seating of Alabama's 3 state-elected DNC members. The challenge filed by Josh Coleman and Caroline Self was deferred to the Alabama Democratic Party until May 30th, 2025 for their consideration and action. At the Credentials Committee meeting on January 30th, 2025, the committee approved a resolution that the 3 members temporarily selected by the Alabama Democratic Party's Executive Board, Charlie Stanton, Donna Foster, Joe M. Reed, be seated on a temporary basis for the 2025 winter meeting, which will apply to the continued election of the vice chairs as well. On April 26, 2025, the Alabama Democratic Party held a meeting at which Charlie Stanton, Donna Foster, and Joe M. Reed were elected DNC members. On May 10th, the Credentials Committee received an appeal to their election. The Credentials Committee continues to work with the challenge parties on a resolution. That concludes the report of the Credentials Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Next up, we'll hear from the co-chair of the Rules and Bylaws Committee, Jim Roosevelt. His other co-chair, Mignon Moore, couldn't be here with us today. But one thing I'm really pleased to announce here, and we'll get into this in the appointments, is that Chair Roosevelt and Chair Mignon Moore have agreed to continue as co-chairs of the Rules and Bylaws Committee, which I'm so grateful for their leadership. Chairman, your report.
Chair Martin, thank you for that honor of continuing. Believe it or not, we enjoy this work. We've been there. And Mignon does send her regards, unable to be here because of a conflict today. But I'm going to provide a report from 2 recent meetings of the Rules and Bylaws Committee. As Secretary Ray outlined on behalf of the Credentials Committee co-chairs, the Credentials Committee issued a resolution recommending that Kaylin Free's challenge on the February 1st elections for the February 1st elections for the 2nd and 3rd vice chairs positions be granted, and that should the DNC vote to approve their resolution, new balloting be conducted. The Rules and Bylaws Committee met on May 22 to propose amendments to the rules of procedure for electing officers. In order to allow the DNC to complete this balloting as soon as practicable, the committee approved language that would provide for the vote in this matter to be conducted electronically. These rules would be used should the DNC adopt the Credentials Committee's recommendation to grant the challenge. It's not automatic. It first has to be approved by the full DNC. While these rules will only come into play if the DNC votes to adopt the Credentials Committee resolution, the rules must also be approved by the full DNC and will therefore be voted upon by members at the same time as the Credentials Committee resolution. The rules were updated to clarify the eligible candidates and the process for electronic voting to meet the Credentials Committee's recommendation that the elections be conducted as soon as practicable. All DNC members have received the draft rules of procedure and the timeline for voting should the resolution pass. Members will be able to vote on the Credentials Committee resolution and the updated rules of procedure beginning Monday, June 9 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and then until Wednesday, June 11 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. A majority vote, a simple majority, 50% plus one, will be required. If the full body rejects the Credentials Committee resolution, the current seating of the officers will stand. If the full body accepts the recommendation and approves the updated rules of procedure, the DNC will administer ballots to fill the final two vice chair positions, one of which may be male and one of which may be a candidate of any gender. If required, the male vice chair vote will open on Thursday, June 12 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and remain open until 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, June 14th. The any gender vice chair vote will open on Sunday, June 15 at 10 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, June 17th. Now, there's going to be a quiz on that. I hope you all took notes, right? Should we need additional ballots, we plan to conduct them with the same amount of time as the previous ballots. The DNC will utilize a vendor called Election Buddy, an online voting software, to facilitate the voting process. Some of you may have already taken the Election Buddy training, which has been offered online. I have, and I was able to follow it. So if I can, you can. The Office of the Secretary and Party Affairs has begun and will continue hosting training sessions, as well as you'll see in the announcement, regular office hours, so members can cast their ballots with live technical support during balloting. Separately, the Rules and Bylaws Committee also met on June 13 to recommend the rules of procedure for the election and fulfilling of vacancies for at-large DNC and Executive Committee members. These are separate rules from the ones we've just discussed. The rules of procedure for at-large DNC and Executive Committee members will be considered by the full DNC member at our August meeting, not in the electronic votes, but at our August meeting, and will govern the election of at-large members. That concludes the report of our Rules and Bylaws Committee. Thank you for your time, and I'll turn it back to you, Chair, and take my finger off this button.
There you go. Thank you, Chairman. At this point, I wanted to see if there were any questions for Chairman Roosevelt. While we don't have our Credentials Committee chairs here, are there any questions for Chairman Roosevelt on the rules report? Okay. Thank you very much for your work there.
In the words of a famous coach, it is what it is.
It is what it is. There you go. Excellent. Thank you so much, Jim. And as you just heard, one of the main orders of business at the August DNC meeting will be to elect the at-large DNC members and to ratify my appointments to our standing committees. While these lists are usually not shared until right before the DNC meeting, I am proud to share with you today a list of 60 at-large nominees and 11 executive committee nominees, as well as my appointments to the standing committees. They will be passed out to you here, and these will also be emailed out to the membership. Historically, at the second meeting of the DNC elects 75 at-large members from a slate submitted by the chair and ratifies the chair's appointments to standing committees, which has traditionally included about 30 or so members for credentials, rules and bylaws, and resolutions. Budget and Finance is confined by our bylaws to 9 members, in addition to the National Finance Chair and Treasurer. The list of nominations and appointments I've shared with you are partial. In April, I shared with you that I would be asking the caucuses and the Youth Council to select nominees to add to my slates directly, and those nominees will complete the slates for at-large members and standing committee members that you will receive before the DNC meeting. I firmly believe that building these slates collaboratively will result in a stronger DNC. The DNC's caucuses and the DNC Youth Council will meet virtually in July to elect at-large nominees and standing committee appointments. For the remaining 15 at-large member positions, the regional caucuses will select 2 at-large nominees, and the AAPI, Black, Disability, Hispanic, LGBTQ+, and Native American caucuses, along with the Youth Council, will select 1 nominee. For standing committees, in addition to those individuals I have shared with you today, I will appoint 16 additional members to each of the credentials, resolutions, and rules and bylaws committees. 2 from each of the regional caucuses and 1 from the Women's, AAPI, Black, Disability, Hispanic, LGBTQ+, and Native American caucuses and the Youth Council. So, the regional caucuses will each elect 2 at-large members along with 6 individuals to serve between the RBC resolutions and credentials. The AAPI, Black, Disability, Hispanic, LGBTQ+, and Native American caucuses, along with the Youth Council, will each elect 1 at-large nominee and 3 individuals for each of the 3 committees, totaling 4 individuals elected per caucus and council. The Women's Caucus will elect 3 individuals, 1 to serve on each of the standing committees. Now, specific genders and other demographic goals for each caucus and council will be shared in the official meeting notices issued at the beginning of June. I'm sharing these lists with you now for 2 reasons. First, before the caucuses and Youth Council meet, I wanted them to have a sense of who I was already nominating, so their nominees are not the same. Second, any person who is not renominated directly on my slate is welcome to run for a caucus or Youth Council position. The nomination process will be open in the beginning of June through June 30th. Nominees must simply be nominated by a member of the caucus or council electing them. Though in order to be nominated for a standing committee, an individual must already be a DNC member or must be nominated as an at-large member on my slate or as a caucus council nominee. So to be clear, in addition to the list before you today, the DNC's caucuses and the DNC Youth Council at-large nominees and standing committee appointments will be incorporated into my slates to be shared with you in full by August 20th in advance of our August summer meeting in Minneapolis. During my campaign and over these past few months as chair, I've spoken repeatedly about the need to democratize the DNC, to increase transparency, and to build trust with Democrats. Actions like this is how we accomplish this mission. Together, unified, transparency, fairness, openness to new voices. I just want the record to note that I'm the first chair in the history of this party to give up power to allow for direct representation and elections to these important committees. This is something I ran on. This is something I'm delivering on. This is something I hope all of you will support. The whole reform package, which is meant at building trust with voters who've lost trust with us, increasing transparency and accountability within our party, bringing in new voices, and at the end of the day, living our values. I know that our fellow officers share the same goal, and I hope all of you do as well. I know that I'm disappointing folks who wanted to be appointed who aren't on this list. And for that, I deeply apologize. We couldn't appoint everyone who wanted to serve. But for those of you who wanted to serve, you still have an opportunity to run for these positions over the course of the summer, and I hope you do so. And so thank you all. At this point, if any of you have any questions on the appointments, feel free to raise your hand and I'll call upon you. Yes, John Verdejo from the great state of North Carolina.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, holding down the button. Mr. Chair, I just want to say, just want to give you your props, give you your flowers. I'm looking over the names and some of the positions, and in the many years I've served on this committee, thank you for spreading the wealth, as they say. Thank you for spreading the love. There are names here that I see that should have been on here a very long time ago for whatever reason weren't. And I say all this not to, blow smoke up, whatever, but I believe in giving props is due. Thank you, thank you to your staff for realizing that, yeah, we need to be a little bit more transparent. We need to be a little bit more open. We need to give people some chance to serve this great party of ours. So just with that, I'll tell you this, you got my full support. I see nothing wrong with this. And yeah, great job, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and I appreciate that. I will say we will have additional demographic breakdown, regional breakdowns, all the information for all of you to review. We need to collect that information still from all of the folks who are appointed here, and we want to be as accurate as possible. So if you bear with us for a few days here and allow this great team of colleagues I work with to compile that information, we'll get it out to all of you in advance so you can see that we're reflecting both our great geographic diversity in this party and our great demographic diversity in this party. It was really critical for me to make sure that we're not only being transparent and open about how we do this, but we're sharing as much information and how we made these decisions. And so I know Veronica and her team are working overtime. Frankly, they just got the final appointments from me this morning, so this has been a very difficult process because I had to leave off a lot of people who I know would serve so well in these positions, and again, I'm very sorry to each of you. But anyways, if you bear with us, we will get all of that information. Other questions, thoughts, suggestions, or concerns? Yes, Associate Chair Applebaum.
Oh, fine. Mr. Chair, I've been concerned for a long time about the erosion of support from working people for the Democratic Party, which should be their natural home. And I'm delighted to look at this list and to see the strong representation, the strong inclusion of representatives of working people on this list. I think that's important, and I am delighted to see that you've done that, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate that. I did want to announce, in addition, Chastity, before I get to you, thank you. Thank you, Helen, I can't see everyone. Appreciate it. I did want to just announce for those that are watching that in addition to the people we've appointed, I have asked the following people to serve as co-chairs of the various committees. I mentioned co-chair Jim Roosevelt and co-chair Mignon Moore have agreed to come back and chair our very important Rules and Bylaws Committee through what will invariably be a very long conversation about our presidential nominating process, all the rules promulgated around that, and many other matters that will be taken up. So thank you again to Jim and Mignon for serving there. I have asked the Honorable Nikema Williams, Congresswoman from Georgia, along with Ryan Ramirez, to be co-chairs of our Credentials Committee, and both have agreed. I have asked Chris Lowe and Doris Kraus-Mays from Virginia to be the chairs of our Budget and Finance Committee. I have asked Ron Harris from Minnesota and Yolanda Bejarano from Arizona to be the co-chairs of the Resolutions Committee. And so I want to thank all of them for agreeing to do so, of course, on your ratification of these slates. So thank you again. And with that, Chastity Conrad. Oh, you didn't have one? Okay. Are there any other questions, thoughts, suggestions? Okay, great. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm blind.
Mr. Chair, thank you so much. I just wanted to echo John's comments there, and I'm also overjoyed to see Ms. Cynthia Lemure on this list, the widow of the late and great activist, Native American activist Frank Lemure. And Cynthia is a wonderful advocate in her own right, and I'm just overjoyed to see her on this list. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clara. I really appreciate it. Look, as we move into announcements, I want to highlight another important initiative that we're launching that will provide even more opportunity for DNC members to engage in leading our party. At the DNC meeting in August, we will launch 4 task forces. Through these task forces, DNC members will support and directly engage in our current efforts. The task force was focused on meetings and accessibility, party branding and messaging, DNC technology, and inter-party reforms. Why am I bringing task forces forward? Well, we only have so many slots available on our committees. And while I'm expanding each of our committees from 30 to around 47 to provide more voices and more opportunities to participate, we can't make sure that everyone in the DNC gets a chance to participate on those committees. And so the idea of these task forces is to make sure that people have a meaningful way as a rank and file DNC member who may not get the opportunity to serve on these committees to serve on a task force. And those task forces can help generate ideas and bring forward solutions to our various committees on a whole host of subjects. So the Meetings and Accessibility Task Force will be comprised of members who will work with the Secretary and his office to develop recommendations related to meeting accessibility, meeting experience and engagement, and DNC members' needs. Our Branding and Messaging Task Force members will work with DNC senior staff to study the media and messaging landscape, to analyze successful tactics and techniques from outside the building, and make strategic recommendations to improve both our brand, our messaging, and the tactics we use to get our message out. Our Technology Task Force members will work with DNC senior staff to understand the DNC's technological investments, to provide input on technology and strategy, and again, new and emerging technology that we should be using to do our work, and to suggest ways to innovate in the use of those current tools in new capacities. And the DNC Task Force on Reforms will discuss opportunities to increase participation, to demystify the process, and to optimize operational efficiency within the DNC governing and operational processes. Applications for Task Force will open in June and close on August 1st. All DNC members will receive an email detailing the application process along with the description of the task force. I look forward to engaging with all of you in this new endeavor, and I'm forever grateful for your dedication to this committee and to the party. Before I end, I want to say these task forces are really important, and I want you all to encourage members in your states, other members that you know that are looking to get more involved than just coming to a DNC meeting and sitting there and being lectured at or spoken to. One of the things we all heard, at least I heard when I was running for chair, and certainly Secretary Ray did, is how can we make these meetings more meaningful? How can we make sure that everyone feels like they have, if they have a voice or they have an idea they want to share, that there's an opportunity to do that? If they want to challenge our party to move forward on an issue, they have a venue and a space to do that. If they want to commiserate with other Democrats around, whatever the challenges are facing us, they can do that, and they can come up with solutions and ideas. And so I go back to what I said earlier. None of us are as smart as all of us. We are privileged few in this room right now. Executive committee members of the DNC. But I don't feel like I speak for all Democrats. None of us do. But we got to make sure we're including more voices in this, not just the privileged few who get picked or hand-selected, or who might know a few more people on this committee to get into positions of power. Let's share the wealth. Let's understand that we learn from each other, and that at the end of the day we win together. That is the spirit in which I'm trying to change the culture of this organization that I love dearly, and I hope you will engage with me in this effort to open this party up to new voices and to fresh ideas and perspectives. So, Secretary Ray, at this time, do you have any updates to share with the Executive Committee?
We've just got a few announcements, Mr. Chair. Thanks to all members for joining us. As you heard during both the Credentials Committee report and the Rules and Bylaws Committee report, we will be utilizing Election Buddy as that online voting platform to consider the rules of procedure, the Credentials Committee report, and voting for the second and third vice chair elections if needed. We do have 2 trainings yet coming up for those that are interested. Please you can reach out to the team at the Office of Secretary and Party Affairs for more information on those 2 additional trainings ahead of next month's votes. And if you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to contact my team. We look forward to seeing all of you again in person in just a few short months in Minneapolis for our summer DNC meeting, August 25th to the 27th. We will be sending out the hotel link shortly for members to book rooms. So those who have contacted me saying they haven't booked yet, don't worry, we haven't sent it out yet. But that'll be coming soon. We do encourage you to come in on that Sunday and enjoy the great Minnesota State Fair before our meeting kicks off first thing on Monday morning. So be on the lookout for additional announcements as we get closer to that meeting. But those are all the announcements, Mr. Chair.
Now, Mr. Secretary, I heard you already have fun evening plans for Sunday evening of the State Fair.
I think I'm getting tickets to go see the concert.
Which is?
Melissa Etheridge and the Indigo Girls at State Fair.
So, look, now I know it might seem a little, selfish of me to bring all of you to my home state of Minnesota, but at least I'm doing it in August and not December. So there you go. So thank you, Secretary Ray. Before we conclude this meeting, I would like to thank our DNC colleagues, the wonderful team at the DNC that I just love working with for all of their work in making this meeting happen, especially from the Office of the Secretary and Party Affairs, Veronica Martinez-Roman, who unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, she is, yes, very unfortunate for us, but very fortunate for her. She has been admitted to Harvard Law School, which she'll be starting in the fall. Yes. I'm very excited for her, but this is her I think it's your last meeting, right? Or last official meeting on this side, and I just want to thank her for all of her work over many, many years, not just for the DNC, but for the Massachusetts Democratic Party. We're going to miss you, but we're just very grateful for all that you've done. And to the rest of your team, Veronica, thank you for a wonderful meeting. I also want to thank the wonderful hotel staff for their hospitality and our court reporter for making sure we have a permanent record. Now, with no other business today, oh, we do have business. Raina?
If I could take a brief moment of personal privilege. Peter Wynn, who is the Civic Engagement and Voter Protection Data and Technology Director, is unfortunately leaving us. Today is his last day with the DNC. And Peter has been one of the most phenomenal staffers at the DNC. He is a team player. He has been an asset to state parties. People call him all day, all night. I think he almost always answers the phone, even when I tell him not to. And he has just been an asset to our team. He's been an asset to the DNC, and I would be remiss if I did not say thank you, Peter, for your service to the DNC. We are going to miss you, and hopefully we'll be able to pull you back in to help with some special projects every once in a while.
Thank you, Raina. And can we give it up for both Veronica and Peter, who spent so many years working? Thank you. Look, with no other business before us today, the chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Oh, are there any objections? No. Okay, no objections. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so much.